They didn't want you to see this. In fact, WWE is doing everything in their power right now to erase it, delete it, pretend like it never happened, and Jade Cargill. She's absolutely humiliated. This wasn't just another awkward moment on live TV. This wasn't a glitch. This was a full-blown wardrobe disaster in front of millions, and the footage is already being pulled down left and right. But the internet never forgets. And what happened to Jade Cargill in that ring will haunt her for the rest of her career, because this wasn't just about a broken outfit. This was about trust. This was about being set up to fail by the very machine that was supposed to protect her. And now the question everyone's asking is simple. Was this an accident, or did WWE deliberately put one of their most hyped, most promising female superstars in a position to crash and burn? Let's break it down, and I want you to listen very closely, because what we're about to uncover will make your blood boil. Jade Cargill walked into last night's premium live event ready to prove herself. This was supposed to be her moment, a career-defining match hyped for weeks. WWE cameras were rolling, the lights were on, the crowd was electric. But what none of us knew, what she didn't know, was that she'd been set up for one of the most humiliating experiences in WWE television history. Just minutes into the match, during a high-impact sequence, Jade went for a springboard move off the ropes. That's when disaster struck. Her gear, custom designed for this exact show, gave out. Not slightly. Not subtly. Completely. A full-on wardrobe failure, exposing her in front of the live audience, the commentary team, and millions watching at home. And before you think this was just an unfortunate mishap, think again. Multiple sources backstage are now leaking disturbing details about the so-called custom gear Jade was asked to wear. Turns out, she had raised concerns just days before the event. She told WWE seamstresses and officials that the gear felt unstable, that it was riding too high in rehearsal matches, and that she wasn't comfortable performing high-flying maneuvers with the stitching and support in its current state. You'd think that would be a massive red flag. You'd think someone, anyone, would step in to fix the issue or offer her an alternative. But no. WWE Creative reportedly told her the gear was perfect and just edgy enough for the vibe they were going for. They wanted something eye-catching. They got it. What happened next? Pure chaos. The match came to a screeching halt. Jade immediately knew something was wrong. She tried to cover up mid-ring, visibly distressed, and was left scrambling while the referee rushed over, shielding her with a towel and calling for an impromptu commercial break. The crowd was confused. Commentary went silent. And just like that, what was supposed to be Jade Cargill's breakout match on the main roster became a complete PR nightmare. But the part that's making fans truly furious. The tears. Because Jade didn't just walk out of the ring that night embarrassed. She walked out crying, shattered, betrayed, and surrounded by silence. People backstage didn't console her. They didn't rally around her. They blamed her. Multiple locker room sources say officials told Jade she should have double-checked the gear. That she should have worn backup. That she should have known better. Imagine that, blaming the victim of a wardrobe failure for not anticipating the company's own negligence. This is where the story gets even darker. Because while Jade was being gaslit backstage, WWE producers were scrambling to edit the footage. Social media teams were scrubbing clips, blocking reposts, and contacting fan accounts to remove any trace of the incident. WWE's legal department reportedly issued takedown requests within minutes of the clip hitting Twitter and TikTok. But again, this is 2025. You can't just erase something from the internet. And now, fans are divided. On one side, you have supporters flooding social media with #JusticeForJade, calling out WWE for pushing her into unsafe gear just for aesthetics. On the other, you've got toxic trolls mocking her, blaming her, and spreading the video like wildfire. And Jade, she's gone radio silent. No tweets. No interviews. Not a word. But we know she's hurting. Sources close to Jade say she's considering taking time off. She feels humiliated and blindsided, and the emotional toll is worse than anyone realizes. Because for Jade, this wasn't just about showing skin. This was about being exposed in the most vulnerable way possible by a company that claims to empower its female talent but, behind the scenes, prioritizes spectacle over safety. Let's rewind for a second. Remember how WWE hyped Jade's debut? Remember the millions spent on promo packages, interviews, documentaries? She was being built as the next big thing. And rightly so, she has the look, the power, the presence. But what fans didn't know is that backstage politics were already playing a dangerous game with her career. Multiple insiders are now revealing that some top female talents saw Jade as a threat, and weren't shy about expressing their concerns to management. One insider described it as, mean girls in million-dollar gear. Jealousy. Sabotage. Quiet power plays. And now, with this wardrobe malfunction, fans are starting to wonder, did someone backstage want this to happen? The design team that made Jade's gear. Silent. The head of talent relations. Refused to comment. And the producers who approved her final look for the night. Now conveniently saying, we didn't know. But guess what? Jade knew. She told them. She warned them. And they ignored her. This isn't just poor planning. This is negligence at best, or sabotage at worst. And it should make every WWE fan furious. Because if they could do this to Jade Cargill, they could do it to anyone. The industry has a long, toxic history of using female talent for ratings and then discarding them when things go wrong. And now, in 2025, we're still seeing the same cycle play out, only this time, it's happening under the bright lights of a billion-dollar brand that claims to be, for the fans. Where's the accountability? Where's the apology? So far, nothing. No official statement. No tweet from Triple H. No press release. Just silence. And that silence speaks volumes. Because when WWE makes a mistake this massive and tries to bury it instead of owning it, they're not just disrespecting Jade, they're disrespecting every woman who ever stepped into that ring hoping to be taken seriously. And make no mistake, fans are not letting this one slide. There are now petitions demanding a public apology. There are former WWE stars speaking out in support of Jade, saying, this could have been me. And there are wrestling journalists digging deeper into who approved the wardrobe and why no one intervened when Jade raised concerns. If you think this was just an unfortunate wardrobe mishap, think again. This was a systemic failure, and it shows us just how far WWE still has to go when it comes to treating its talent like human beings instead of props for entertainment. The emotional toll this has taken on Jade can't be overstated. We're talking about a woman who gave up everything to join WWE. She left a dominant run in AEW, walked away from guaranteed spotlight, and put her faith in WWE's vision for her. And now that trust is shattered. She stepped into that ring to build a legacy. But what she got was trauma, and millions of strangers dissecting her worst moment on social media. So what happens next? That's the question. Will Jade stay silent and power through? Will she speak out, name names, and expose the truth? Or will WWE force her to play the corporate game, smile through the pain, and pretend like nothing happened? We don't know. But what we do know is that the fans aren't staying quiet. The conversation is just getting started. And if WWE thinks they can silence Jade Cargill with corporate spin and backstage pressure, they've underestimated the power of truth, and the fury of a fanbase that's tired of seeing their heroes get chewed up and spit out by a machine that only cares about ratings. This isn't the end of Jade Cargill. It can't be. But it might be the beginning of something else, something bigger. A reckoning. A demand for transparency, for respect, for safety. Because nobody should have to cry in a locker room while the world mocks them for something that wasn't their fault. Nobody should have to be the scapegoat for a production team's failure. And Jade, she deserves better. She deserves justice. If you agree, if you're angry, if you think WWE owes Jade Cargill an apology, drop a comment below. Share this video. Let your voice be heard. Because they want this story buried. But we're not letting that happen. Not today. Not ever. Let's make sure WWE knows, we see you.